Okay, joining us now at the World Economic Forum Congress is Senior Modi Minister Piyush Goyal. Minister, welcome and thank you for hopping out of a meeting and joining us here in the freezing cold. You've been enjoying this weather, heating it up with all the meetings?
Well, I think it was a great opportunity to tell the world what India is all about, show the world the big opportunity that awaits new technology, new ideas, the rapid pace at which India is planning its scale up on investments, scale up on public services. And the response we've received has been just hugely fantastic.
We're talking here about the India Today Mood of the Nation opinion poll, coming out as it does right ahead of Republic Day. The good news from the BJP and the NDA's perspective is if elections are held today, the BJP NDA would win, crossing the 300 figure. The slightly disconcerting news is if the opposition comes together as one, if Mayawati, Akhilesh and Mamata Banerjee back Rahul Gandhi, then the going gets much tougher for the BJP. Do you see, with the Modi Sarkar doing as well as it is, opposition coming together against you?
Well, I wish them well. This country has seen such experiments in the past. We saw that very recently in Uttar Pradesh, where two of the principal parties came together. It only helped us get 80% of the seats in that state. The people see through these kind of unholy alliances which have no common consensus, no meeting ground. Parties which have been cursing each other, have been at the back of each other for years, in a very, for a very short-term, temporary period, getting together is something the people of India have rejected, not once, not twice, but if you look back, ever since 1980.
So on the one side, you've got the NDA crossing 300. The other reality is that you've got the NDA which had a peak of 360 in this Mood of the Nation opinion poll, now coming down about 57 seats from its peak. Would you read some trends into that?
Not at all. I would ask you to venture and look back. Which government at the end of the fourth year has ever had the kind of popularity ratings that Prime Minister Modi's government has had? Tell me any popular leader in probably the history of India who at the end of the fourth year, the slog was starting, has had a popularity which has kept growing month on month and year on year. I think times are good. In fact, if there is a grouping of all the opposition coming together, possibly we'll cross 400.
Do you think it'll actually make things better? Let's talk about some of the economic metrics, because especially on the back of Gujarat, we asked respondents whether they felt that the Gujarat victory validates GST. 47% said yes, no was 40%. When we asked them about demonetization, saying that is this more pain than gain, 73% saying this is more pain, 22% saying this is more gain. So on GST, Samir, there seems to be a resounding amount of approval for what the government has done. But on demonetization, people now wondering, kuch mila bhi, fayda hua bhi ki nahi?
See, again I say, she's into two, short-termism and long-termism. If we are standing 3 years from today, many people may feel very differently about demonetization. When more people come into the tax net, when there's a greater formal economy, there is more job security, there is more social security available because of the digital architecture that has been created, people may have a different take on demonetization. But on GST, clearly the numbers show that people appreciate a tough decision, which may, on the short term, may not necessarily result in great political gains, but certainly they appreciate leadership. So let me go back to your number you mentioned. 56% have said that the Modi government has handled the economic policies well, which is slightly higher than Prime Minister's own personal approval rating this time around, which tells you that considering that these two tough decisions have been taken, there is still a huge swell of support on the economic policies. If there is something that we must ponder over, both as a political class and as thinkers, is that where is that dip coming from? Is it just incumbency, like he mentioned, the fourth year, end of the fourth year, where you're seeing a certain dip, or are there some other political questions that need responses? Because I think on the economic front, he has received the thumbs up from the survey.
Political questions you're talking about?
No, I'm not a political analyst, should be doing that, but clearly incumbency is one of them. And second, of course, I think there are local issues and people respond to those local issues. And I don't think this opinion poll would necessarily capture a trend, but it would be an aggregation of multiple trends across geographies.
So, Minister, on GST, you've got people backing you on demonetization. Now, 73%. If you compare this with the earlier poll, where thumbs up, where demonetization got a thumbs up, now people are wondering whether they actually benefited. Is the government losing the narrative on the benefits of demonetization?
Absolutely not. As Samir said, we are very clear, we are on the right path. At Davos, people have been appreciating the bold moves for bringing India into a formal economy, for eliminating corruption, black money, issues by which India had come to be identified through the years of Congress rule, so many years. And I think finally they're seeing a government which means to change that narrative, which means to demonstrate that we are for honest government. And I think even if in the short run some people are not able to understand the long-term impact and benefits of this, we are clear, we will stay the course. We are looking at a larger digitalization and formalization of the economy. We are looking to relentlessly go after black money and corruption. And we are extremely confident that the people of India know that this is good for them. They will back the Prime Minister as they have backed him in election after election. And you will note that we have finally broken the jinx that governments post-introduction of GST have consistently worldwide lost the next election. Mr. Modi has broken that jinx. We've thrown the Congress out of Himachal. We won back Gujarat. For 30 years we've been winning elections there now. 22 years of government. And I think it once and for all shows that if you are honest in your intention, the people trust you, home run for you.
Mr. Mittal? On the question of which are the biggest achievements of the Prime Minister, the Swachh Bharat campaign seems to be coming in at number one. I met somebody from the toilet board and they were talking about the problems of the Swachh Bharat campaign, how a lot more needed to be done and issues still hadn't been resolved. And the crackdown on black money, which is coming in at 17%, we're ironically in Switzerland, where Rahul Gandhi has been tweeting and saying, kuch paisa wapas bhi leke aao, nothing's come back yet. Yet that in public perception are the two biggest achievements of the Modi Sarkar.
Credit to the Prime Minister when he spoke from the ramparts of Red Fort. People said, this is a very small issue. Why should Prime Minister of the country pick this issue up on this particular day? To be honest, his clarion call has actually pushed people to think. It's a mindset change, and it's been a successful campaign. Corporates have done it, we have done it, he's appreciating it. I think more and more people should come and do that. It's just not Swachh Bharat for the toilets. It leads to hygiene, healthcare, nutrition. There are so many issues that are intertwined and interlinked. People must understand that. And it's a big achievement. On the black money and what has been said by the respondents, people want that. People want an honest government. People want an honest business sense of the country, the reputation of the country. And I think the crackdown will not only is again a midterm.
There's corporates that deal a lot with governments and bureaucracy. To what extent do you think the levels of corruption have fallen?
No, I don't have to diplomatically why the Honourable Minister is here, but let me say that from the central government point of view, I can tell you there is a gap which I can't even tell you how much has been as a perception turned around, as it is turned around. There is no question of that. Yes, state governments need to also rise to the occasion. Local governments need to rise to the occasion. It's a daisy chain where the impact comes, but it's a slow process, it's a trickle process. But from the top when it starts, it will start trickling down.
Suman Sinha, your sense on...
I'll just interject a small anecdote. This is about 2012 or thereabouts. My wife was traveling in a taxi and the taxi driver asked for a fare which was about 50 rupees more than the actual fare. And she said, "Arey, itna maang rahe ho, itna to banta nahi hai is raaste ka." The taxi driver said, "Mem sahab, 50 rupees to zyada maang raha hu, koile ki khadan thodi maang raha hu." That was the mood of the nation. That has changed today. Today nobody can, everything is through a transparent process. Sumant has been at the receiving end. He's had runaway success in his renewable energy business. Everything transparent, open, equal opportunity for all. So that's the change, what he talked about, perception and reality, both.